Right. And kids don't have to necessarily want to start a business.
Right.
But you know what? We're going to make them financially literate.
Yeah.
So there'll be employees that are financially literate or employers that know how to run a business. And that's the key. We need to develop financial awareness and consumer awareness.
Hey there, and welcome to Money and You. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. My search for more fulfilling work led me to career and business coaching, where I stumbled upon a game-changing discovery. Money issues often start with our mindset and habits. You see, our relationship with money is the key to overcoming those frustrating financial obstacles. As an entrepreneur, coach, and problem solver, I'm passionate about helping you create a great relationship with money. Because, turns out, that's the foundation for a limit-free life. Each week on Money and You, I speak with amazing guests about all things money, mindset, practical tips, and everything in between. We're here to give you new insights, education, and empowerment so money can be one of your favorite relationships. So join us for some lively conversations and let's transform your financial life together. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Money and You Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. Very, very happy to be back with a show that, gosh, I'm so excited because it feels like every show has been really different information, different topics that we've never talked about. I've done hundreds of shows. And so I'm just really excited about today's guest and the topic we're going to talk about, which is financial literacy, one of my favorite topics. And our guest today, Jennifer Fishman, is working on getting financial literacy into the minds of very young children, and she'll explain all this. It's really fascinating. And it's going to be a major shift, big transformation in how kids are learning about finance and how this is going to help them throughout their lives. I've had a million comments throughout the years about the lack of financial literacy. So now finally we have somebody actually tackling that problem and changing things. So I'm going to tell you a little about Jennifer, and she's actually here in the studio with me, which is always thrilling. Doesn't happen that often. Jennifer Fishman is the founder of Business Basics for Kids, an entrepreneurial education program designed to equip elementary students with essential financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and career readiness skills. As a mom, Jennifer understands the importance of raising financially literate children who are prepared to thrive in the 21st century. Her goal is to help young learners build the skills that will make them irreplaceable in the workforces of tomorrow. Jennifer is a certified entrepreneurship teacher through NFTE, the National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship, and holds a California State teaching credential. She earned her master's in education from Pepperdine and has an undergrad degree in child development. This combination of expertise has allowed her to design a practical, engaging workbook that aligns with state and national standards, making financial literacy accessible and enjoyable for all students. Her mission is to bring these vital programs to schools across California, ensuring every student gains the tools they need for financial and entrepreneurial success. As an expert working to bridge the gap between education and economy, she is dedicated to preparing students to succeed in an ever-evolving workforce. Through BBK, Jennifer is also committing to raising California's grade on the National Report Card for Financial Literacy, where the state has maintained a D for 6 consecutive years. How tragic is that? Her vision is to inspire change, equipping students with the skills they need to succeed, both academically and professionally. When she's not working, Jennifer enjoys cooking, staying active, and spending time outdoors with her family. Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm super, super excited. We met at a volunteer thing that we do. I'm not speaking very well right now, and you started telling me what you do, and I was just so excited to hear it. It's not often that I meet somebody who is focused on this topic. So really thrilled. And the more I talked to you, the more interesting it was. And so I really wanted you to bring this info to the listening audience. So
thank you so much for inviting me here.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I really love that you have an education background. And I think a lot of people teaching these things are, teaching them on TikTok or whatever. And mostly they're just, they don't have an education background. And I think this is one thing I've found when putting my own sort of financial programs together, is there's a part of me that understands there's a way to teach so that kids or adults or whoever take that information in an organized way that they can, really comprehend what's being taught. And that's a skill. It's a skill set. And so everybody is putting together digital programs, but not everybody really understands how to teach the material.
Correct. And we found out a lot of great information. And we found out in K through 5, you need to be able to critically think. So critical thinking is the basis of financial literacy. So we must teach it. Mm-hmm. And there's a pyramid, the taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy, that I've created an app for this summer. And every level kids should be able to think on. And when they think at the very top, where it's create and they own their own business, that means they have mastery of every level below that. So when they go into middle school and high school, those teachers can teach at that higher level. Because in K through 5, we only have spending habits and certain things, but
you mean, I want to interrupt for just one second, because K through 5 sounds really early. Like I would imagine when I first heard it, I'm like, wow, do kindergartners really, and, first, second, third graders, are they interested? And is it too early? But what I'm hearing is it's not. So
yes, scientifically it's not. Researchers have discovered kids form spending habits between ages 7 and 9.
Wow.
So that is those are grades 1 and 2. And then developmentally, people can change their spending habits in 9th grade. And that's when they learn to developmentally change habits. And if kids can change habits, learn how to form spending habits and change them by the time they leave 12th grade, that is incredible for our economy, for our community, and for everywhere.
Well, and that's so transferable. If you can, create habits around spending, you can create habits around your health or anything else for that matter. So I kind of love the tie-in because financial literacy does depend. It's one thing to know things, and that's something we talk about all the time on the Money and You show. It's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to implement. A lot of that is based on kind of your emotions around all of this stuff. And really the glue that keeps it, intact for your life are these habits that you build. And I don't think in the financial industry they're necessarily talking about building habits as much as they should.
Yeah, we're struggling to find out how to make finance fun. Finance must be fun.
It is a struggle.
And it cannot be all formulas.
Yeah.
So the trick is to incorporate entrepreneurship education and financial literacy. That synergy makes students learn financial literacy, and they love it. And
I'd love the tie-in with entrepreneurship, because it's like you can see it in action. You can understand how the numbers play into, what you're building and what you're selling and how and what that means for the business.
Yes, and today there are career readiness benchmarks that many people don't know about for K through 5. So if you go on to California career readiness benchmarks and see K through 5, that's a great indicator if your child's going to be ready for middle school.
Wow. In your bio, we talked about this report card, which I had never heard that there was this report card. So California is doing very poorly in financial literacy, but what is this report card? When did that start? Who's even looking at this?
Yes. It started about 6 years ago, and the whole entire time, California's earned a D. So we're teaching below average instruction. However, if you look at Missouri or other states, some of them have perfect instruction of an A.
In financial literacy?
Correct.
Wow,
and this report card is now holding the nation responsible to make sure every student has the same opportunity and is being taught at the same grade, which should be an A anyway. And we're going to hold them accountable now. So
Well, okay, so let's let me unpack this a little, because on so many shows I've talked to a guest who, we have this conversation about there's nothing taught in school about money. But what you're saying is actually contrary to that. You're saying there are financial literacy programs out there that are being taught. Is that correct, or am I?
Not for K through 5. There are programs for 6 through 12. But what they found out is that kids come to sixth grade with these innate abilities, and it's too late by then because they're all on a different page. If kids can all be on the same page when they come to sixth grade and have discovered their interests and their hobbies, their passions, they can do a lot more in sixth grade. But the trouble is that everyone's coming with different knowledge, and it's taking teachers too long to put everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
So, and entrepreneurship is a career readiness skill.
Yeah.
It has become one.
Yeah, which I think is also fascinating because the whole idea with school traditionally has been, get yourself up to a point in your education where you can go to college so you can get a job. It's never really been, really leaning toward becoming an entrepreneur, which the kids all know is an option because they're all on YouTube and TikTok and seeing these, people creating businesses. But I don't, at least in my day, it was certainly not talked about. It might be something your family talked about, but kind of wasn't talked about in school.
Right. And kids don't have to necessarily want to start a business.
Right.
But you know what? We're going to make them financially literate.
Yeah.
So they'll be employees that are financially literate or employers that know how to run a business. And that's the key. We need to develop financial awareness and consumer awareness in K through 5.
Yeah.
And then when we go into middle school, it becomes financial literacy. And then 9th through 12th, it becomes economic literacy. Oh. So there are stages. This is very important to get this foundation, which is our programs like Business Basics for Kids.
Okay. So Business Basics for Kids. And so that the kids you're talking about are the K through 5 crowd. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And, just to visualize this, what is the hope that we would see in school? Would there be specific classes on this? Would there be, what is it?
Kids are going to learn to give back. They're going to be active in the classroom. You're going to see them enjoy learning. They're going to be having an entrepreneur fair at their school, and those donations go to those unfunded programs so that parents don't have to put so much money into those schools, into the public schools. Very cool. Kids are going to learn how to give back. And they love it. They absolutely love it. And kids love watching their parents have that feeling when they give back. So kids now want that same feeling. They don't understand the whole concept of what they're doing behind it, but they understand that their parents have a good feeling when they donate. So they have a good feeling.
Yeah, and I love that too, because when you're thinking about your relationship with money, if you develop that early on, that is one of the positives about having money, making money, is that you can give back. And if you start that early, knowing how that feels, I think that sort of creates this relationship with money that's more positive than, a lot of what kids hear at home, which is very fear-based and very like, oh my gosh, we're broke, you can't have those shoes or whatever, and that's not good messaging that, and they would develop a sort of negative idea around money in general from that.
Correct. We want to teach kids that Bloom's taxonomy pyramid so that they know what to do to learn at that level. Everything on the level is a verb. It's an action word. And you can go and download all those words, and whatever level that word is at, you can do that. And kids start to know how to learn, and we want kids to learn how to learn.
So there's a lot of science behind how this is put together.
Yes, this has been studied for quite a while, and it's been happening since 2010. Some states have been teaching since 2010, but after COVID, now it's not an option.
Oh, you mean it's everywhere, or it's supposed to be?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Since July of 2024, it's now mandated. It was going to be on the ballot, if you heard about that, the financial literacy initiative, but they approved it before voting because they thought it was that important, and voters shouldn't have the choice. Yeah. We need to educate these children.
And that's in California?
Yes. Okay. California is struggling. And I aim to bring that grade up in California so everyone can look at that report card and start seeing it raising its grade. And they'll see it in their children, they'll see it in the education system, and they'll just see happier kids at school.
Wow, that's so much fun. Yeah, I think I would have loved learning entrepreneurship and business basics as a kid.
Well, I'm sure you get a lot of people that wish that too, because that's why they come to you, is people want to be taught this at a young age.
Yeah.
It's a natural fit.
Yeah, and it's a huge part of life. So if you're not taught that, you're almost automatically behind when you get done with high school or college.
And plus, with AI and everything else, kids have to be irreplaceable in the workforce. And it's that entrepreneurship mindset that puts them into a job that no AI can overcome.
Right.
AI can take over. So we have to make them irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And the kids, they have it in them. They have digital skills. They have the skills they need. We just need to bring it out in them.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So the entrepreneurship part is super creative. So I'm sure that that's kind of a natural that they would just enjoy that part of it. When it comes to the numbers, how are you making that, or not you, but in general, how is this being made interesting for kids?
That's a good question. Kids first start out starting a lemonade business, and they have a mini business plan for the lemonade stand.
Okay.
And they find out how much it costs to create the lemonade stand, how much it would cost to run the lemonade stand for the month, then how much they prepare to set profit, how much lemonade do they need to sell to have profit.
Yeah.
And they track their expenses, and it's really everything they need in life.
Yeah, I think if you've ever been a mom who had a lemonade stand for your kids, you realize how little they just learned, because as a mom, I would do this with the kids, and then I would go buy all the stuff. So they had no idea, about that part of it. All they knew was what they took in at the end of the day. They didn't really see the other aspects of it because I took care of it all. And then
one thing I learned in my research is the lemonade stand is a basic model to teach kids. And we do that because the lemons are biodegradable, they're seeds, and we can replace them. So we teach them natural resources. So the lemonade stand is a very basic model that kids learn off of.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. It's been around forever, but you don't really give it much thought, like why that even came to be sort of the thing that kids, the first little thing they do to try to earn money, which is really kind of fun. Okay, so they get, I can already, you can already see the concepts that they're developing. What's next? What's after the lemonade stand?
They either want to go into business and they can start a business, or they can support their friends and sell for their friends at the business. But on the app, every student gets to enjoy each activity. There's an activity for each subject, and one of them is, for instance, service learning. And we're going to have a lemonade stand, Alex's lemonade stand, this spring, and students can start learning beforehand.
Okay. So this app is going to kind of hold all the teaching material.
Yes, it's going to hold all the teaching material, and it's also going to put kids out in the communities, because kids need to know that they can go into the community and give back. I see it all the time when people want to find volunteer opportunities for their children now, and we can't. But the schools, we can provide in a risk-free environment how to start a business.
Okay. Yeah, super cool. So so this isn't, first I was envisioning there being a class on, personal finance, but that's not what this is. This is
action.
It's action through this app that sort of gives you the guidance.
Yes.
And
we teach kids, you want to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. You want to be at your workplace and think as an owner. Right. So we're having a problem with entrepreneurs not being able to fill the jobs when kids come out of high school. Right. And that's where this really came from. They want to give kids jobs, but they're not ready. They're not coming out of school ready for them. So there's been a lot of good initiatives and a lot of good stuff that in the summer of 2025, it's going to change, and you'll see kids much happier at school.
Wow. Well, and kids, school hasn't really kept up with the kids and the way they think and the way they operate. And so I think this is amazing, because I do think they're bored with school and they're not really engaged. I see more and more kids wanting to learn at home, for example.
Well, one of the problems is there are programs out here that already teach this for 6th through 12th grade. But the problem is we don't have it everywhere in the community. We only have it in certain communities. So we need to bring these vital programs out to all students. And that's how they need to live in society. All students in California should be taught financial literacy. Yeah. And California cannot improve until they have K through 5 standards implemented.
Yeah.
So we cannot get out of a grade of a D until we start educating the K through 5 students.
Interesting. Yeah, that's super interesting. And so who is behind this? Like, who are the people in government that are thinking about this?
There's a national curriculum instructional board, and in other states, it's already being passed. I mean, it's already being taught. These mandates have been passed. So we're now seeing that the report card is holding us accountable. If you go online and look at the report card, you'll want your child to learn financial literacy in California. It's very important.
So interesting. So you gave me this little workbook that you said was, I think, on your website?
Yes, it's a dictionary. That's one of the things you can do to teach children financial literacy, is to give them exposure to the words. So if you download that, if you go to businessbasicsforkids.com and you download the A to Z financial literacy dictionary.
Yeah. And then they can, and I love this. I mean, A is for assets, B is for budget, and there's some little exercises you can do. And this is a great learning tool. So parents can just go on Business Basics for Kids and get this very fun.
Yes,
little
and
workbook.
there's a visual to every page, and that's how we differentiate K through 5. We give them visuals. And if they want to color. If not, just look at the picture.
Yeah. It's a great, it's actually, as I'm thinking about this, this is a great thing for parents to talk to their kids about and just open up a whole conversation that you wouldn't otherwise really be having. I think this is great for kids and parents.
It's a good start to.
And honestly, I hate to say it, but there are parents who aren't going to know what some of these words mean, and so they can learn together.
Yes. And parents these days, they are so happy it's finally in the schools, because they didn't learn it. And they're like, finally, it's in these schools. So parents are very supportive of this initiative, and they love learning with their child, because that's what we need. We need a homeschool connection. And that's why I developed the app, is because kids can come home with that app and their parents have access to financial literacy as well.
Right.
So every student will have access to financial literacy in California.
That's super great. Yeah. So will the app be just provided to the students? Is that kind of what the hope is?
There are many supporters in education.
Yeah.
So the goal is to have it distributed on every California device that's handed out to the kids. The Chromebooks, it will already have Business Basics for Kids on there.
Cool. This is great. Yeah. So this is, you're kind of focused on the K through 5 piece. Is that correct? Or
yes, I am. And I'm specifically focused on it because so many people have said, oh, can you do 11th grade? Can you do this grade? No, I am dedicated. I'm committed to K through 5, because that is the gap, is that foundational level. If you go on to the entrepreneurial educational learning model, you will see that the bottom are basics. And that's why this is Business Basics for Kids, because the foundation is basics.
Right.
And it's for that in any subject.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that critical thinking level. It's all about Bloom's taxonomy and to get to the level where you want to be.
Okay. And then what are they doing again in high school? How is that?
In high school, they're doing more large-scale projects. In elementary school, we give kids the chance to plan a class party. That's how they budget.
Oh,
and in middle school, they do low-scale events in the community. And then in high school, we create kids with connections so that they can go to college and not have so much educational debt after.
Oh,
interesting. In 9th through 12th grade, we want students to make connections to people that can put them in these jobs, that help them to pay back their loans if they have them, and to move forward without debt.
Wow.
And there are so many supporters. It's amazing how education is changing. It's very, very exciting. Very exciting.
I'm so happy to hear that, because a lot of the conversation around education is that it's outdated, it's not working anymore for the kids, and you don't hear so much about the plans to sort of improve it.
Well, COVID changed that. COVID was a big wake-up call, because we need to teach kids, if there's an emergency, we need to have some kind of money. And COVID really made it obvious that financial literacy is necessary.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah. So, and then what is the goal beyond high school? Is there a goal for that? Or, I mean...
Well, we want students to make a choice where they want to go to college, if they want to go to college, if they want to be an entrepreneur, but they have the ability to do that. They have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what every child deserves, is the opportunity to start a business.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Okay. And do you have some other resources for the kids too, in terms of people or mentors or?
Oh yes, I'm excited about this because I'm like a third-party opportunity finder. There are opportunities everywhere. There really are. Yeah. And because we're teaching on a state level and not a national level, we're not getting all these scholarships and internships, and there's competitions out there. There's so much for our children to do out there. There's like, instead of the spelling bee, there's competitions, there's entrepreneurship challenges locally. So we need to let kids in on this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about this. I think most of the parents, I don't know if they would know about it. Is it?
Last year, I took the entire year off to research and create the app, and this is where I found most of my information. It's very interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I love that whole career readiness aspect of it because from just my observations, just from having kids and, seeing what they and their friends are feeling when they graduate, they seem pretty lost. They seem like, maybe they go to college and they choose a major, but it's not because they are super driven to go into that, profession. They don't know what they want. So they're just picking.
Well, and in K through 5, it starts day one. If kids start getting interested in different subjects, they might gravitate to one. And that's how kids get interested in learning. Yeah. So we want kids to find a connection between the real world and school. And we do that through those kinds of activities.
That's another big complaint is, why am I learning any of this stuff? Because I'll never use it in the real world.
Correct. And in business, you will always be able to use it if you want to.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what is the expectation, for example, of a 5th grader? I mean, I guess they can know all these words.
It's a good question. Right now, they know what occupations exist, what careers exist, but we want them to know that every career has an entrepreneurial path.
Oh,
and there are different paths to take. There's a career path and an entrepreneurial path. And we want students to know that that's an option.
That's fascinating to me. Yeah, to think about kids thinking that way at that early age.
And then they pick up in 6th grade learning about entrepreneurship.
Okay. And so there's not a bias, for or against college at all. I mean, college applies regardless of whether you want to have a career or be an entrepreneur.
No, but it's our job to provide all kids with opportunities to make connections. And we want kids to network. We want kids to find like-minded kids. And that's how we do it. We do it through community building.
Yeah.
And we do it through engagement, and we do it through education. And it is fun. If you see these kids selling, it's very fun for them.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love the focus on networking because I have these conversations all the time with, in the work I do in career transition. And honestly, there are a lot of people who've really not experienced a lot of good networking. And then you tell them you need to go and network now that you've lost your job or whatever. And it's pretty scary for them. So I also love the idea of this kids developing some comfort with networking from an early age. So because networking can be fun. I know when I started my business, I had one of my closest friends was a banker, and she networked all the time. And she said, well, if you're going to have this business, you're going to have to go out there and start meeting people. And it didn't sound fun to me at the time. And then she said, just think of it like going out and making friends. Like, just go have fun. This isn't about, anything else, really.
And when you own a business, you break the barriers of being shy. You'll do anything it takes to get to that level of ownership.
That's a really great point, because I did find because I went from a corporate life to an entrepreneurial phase, and I do remember thinking entrepreneurship, nothing puts you face to face with yourself like being an entrepreneur. Your fears, the things that you want to do, don't want to do. I mean, it just, you're having to do all kinds of things.
You push really hard.
Yeah. So what a great point, though, because what a confidence builder.
Yes. entrepreneurship education has inspired children everywhere to do well in school. And it's important.
Yeah, they need motivation and incentive now because it is hard for them, I think, to really kind of connect with why am I putting all this effort into the schoolwork
and
or
they
whatever.
need to understand what they have to offer. Children need to understand they have something in them. So to turn struggles into strengths and just find one thing.
Right.
And you might just be so passionate, it could be your business.
Yeah. And entrepreneurship also, there are a lot of frustrations in it as you try things and they don't work or, so I feel like kind of getting familiar with that feeling of being frustrated and working through that as well is a plus.
Yes, that's why providing it in a risk-free environment is crucial.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. Yeah, so you're not going to lose your house because you're too little.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I see this is a major move forward in so many areas.
Yes.
And are other countries doing this? I mean, what?
Other countries have entrepreneurship skills ingrained in their curriculum. And for instance, in China, many managers own the business and business owners sell it because they feel when they're at the manager level, they're going to act like they own the business. They're going to take care of it like they own it. They're able to own this business. So sometimes you'll see entrepreneurs sell their business to managers in China.
Interesting.
Isn't that
That's
interesting?
really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I love this on so many levels. And it really does, I think, instill a sense of freedom, too. Like it gives you more options and more possibilities. And even if you don't do it right away, you'll have this education for your life. So, and what are some of the states that have been, I mean, you mentioned Missouri. Where else is this going on?
Florida has had a lot of improvement. It jumped 2 grades.
Wow.
Vermont, Ohio, Nebraska, those are the states that have had this since 2008.
Gosh, I'm just shocked. I would not have guessed that. I would have thought California would be pretty up there. Maybe New York.
It's just we weren't educated enough to know that we have to put it in the system now. We don't have time to wait.
Okay.
But so many people are so positive about this change in education that there's been so many initiatives this year. It's one of the biggest years in education.
And how are the teachers getting themselves? I mean, many of them have not been entrepreneurs.
Correct. And interestingly enough, when teachers teach entrepreneurship education, they often go into business and leave the teaching field. But what teachers in K through 5 need to know is that you just teach critical thinking. And that's what it is. So teachers in K through 5 already have what they need to teach. Yeah. They teach critical thinking every day.
Well, and I keep hearing that that's not being taught very well. So I think this is a good topic, and a way to get more critical thinking, because I feel like that's sort of falling away a little bit. Maybe I'm not in the profession, so I don't know, but that's what I hear.
Well, we want children to take ownership of their learning. And by doing that, it's imperative that kids know what they want to do. They need to own something, because that's what mastery is. We know it's mastery when they transfer that skill to their business. It's mastery and transfer.
Yeah, so interesting. Okay. And so how much time would a child spend on this?
Yes, we encourage 5 minutes 5 times a week.
Oh, that's doable.
We take bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
And it's going to go into the math. And it will be really exciting for kids.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's very doable. So I like that, because it's not actually interfering with any other...
Well, developmentally, they can't take more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
So we have to make this the most powerful 5 minutes, but it's doable. And that's how kids learn. It's just 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes, and they build the skills.
So what are a couple examples of what you would spend the 5 minutes on, for example?
One of them would be maybe posting or having a video of one of the people on Shark Tank giving lessons about what questions they ask or how to be feeling comfortable and confident and very supportive. So we want kids to have those kinds of people in their lives.
Yeah, and I feel like kids really like Shark Tank. I mean, I remember watching that with my kids, and they got really into it. And
And parents, they can ask their kids, or they can watch Shark Tank and listen to the questions that Shark Tank has, and there you go.
Yeah.
The answers are out there. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So in putting this app together, how are you getting support? I mean, who else is involved in this? Or, this is a big undertaking.
Yes. I actually taught second grade in a California school.
Okay.
So I actually know the curriculum. And I taught at an entrepreneurial charter school.
Oh,
when the STEM schools were coming out, they needed to have entrepreneurial schools because every city has a budget. So we have to let kids understand that you have to know a budget to run a city.
Oh, yeah.
And so I really had great training, and I also know how to build a community. And the community, the classroom runs with jobs, and students fill out help wanted forms. And they also fill out forms for their jobs they want on campus and in the classrooms.
Very cool.
It is. It's really fun.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they're little, so are they learning what it's like to earn money and then what to do with that money? Or, I mean, do you
We have a money management system.
Okay.
It's spend, save, and share.
Okay.
So it's kind of like if you have $3, put $1 to each.
Yeah. Okay.
So they remember that.
Very cool. Yeah. So that's great. I love this. I wonder, if you have this going on for several years, what that would look like for kids getting out of school. I mean, do you learn about things like debt? Do you learn about, how to prepare yourself for when you do get out there in the world? And that's when all the trouble starts happening.
Absolutely. When children pay their bills for business, the monthly cost, they realize expenses and debt.
Yeah. Okay. Do they borrow? Is that part of it?
They learn what the risks are to borrow.
Okay.
They learn those options, where to borrow. They learn where they can get capital for their business, but they don't really know the value in borrowing.
Okay. Yeah. Very, very fun. So is there a vision beyond this for where this could go? Or, I mean, it's already pretty visionary, but...
Well, there are a lot of philanthropists that are supporting financial literacy.
Okay.
Many of them. And what many of them do are offer scholarships to students in their hometown. But we need to make this a national level, and we need to ask those philanthropists to bring it to California. We need to offer kids the same thing in California that's being offered anywhere else.
Yeah. And is it just that California is so big and complicated? And I mean, why are we behind?
Well, first of all, it's never been where we have to connect on a national level. We've only been teaching financial literacy on a state level. So basically, it's been up to the state what we're going to teach.
Okay.
But now we're going to connect nationally. Okay. We're going to make it so we teach on a national level, not just a state level.
So the states will have to adhere to whatever.
Yes, we'll have to go to different states and find out how they're improving, what they've done to improve. Oh. There's conferences to go to. There's so much fun stuff out there.
Yeah.
We have to bring it to education.
Okay. Wow. I think that it's invigorating for the teachers as well as, I mean, it's really exciting. So.
Yes.
Well, how did you get into this? I mean, you were a second grade teacher. How did this?
Well, when I graduated Pepperdine, my first job was at an entrepreneurial charter school.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I was so passionate about it, and I was going to have my own family, that I got trained in it by National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And wow, that was very eye-opening. It's a K through 12 entrepreneurship program. So I've made sure, it's not actually K through 12, it's 6 through 12.
Okay.
But I made sure that K through 5 is a very seamless transition into middle school.
Yeah, so cool. So yeah, but this is, you found your way to entrepreneurship as well, basically.
Yes, I am the model for these children.
Oh, that's so great. Well, it is really interesting to learn what's happening out there that we don't know about. I feel like lately every show has been like, this is something that we don't know is going on. And it's fascinating to have people like you come on and enlighten everybody, because, we don't hear about this. And unfortunately, I don't know why. It's good news. It would be nice to have some good news out there once in a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in 6th through 12th grade, there are a lot of opportunities for kids. There's challenges on a state level. There's national challenges. There's an national app challenge for students. There's an entrepreneurship challenge for students.
Do you have some of these on your website for people to find? Or any?
It will be on the app for the students.
Yeah, okay.
However, if you follow us on social media, you'll see it popping up.
Okay. Well, please tell people how they can follow you on social media or go to your website, obviously.
Go to my website and follow Business Basics for Kids on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be exciting. We're going to make social media the introduction to financial literacy.
Oh, that's great. And so when kids see that too, if they do, or parents, then can they go to their schools and talk to their, the people at school about how to access more of this, or is that going to be obvious?
Another thing is that we're going to need volunteers in schools. We're going to need them in the communities. Oh. And parents already love volunteering.
Yeah.
So we're creating a lot of opportunity for families at these fairs and these community sales to participate. And they love it.
Yeah, this is great. This actually gets me very excited about kids engaging in school and getting excited about learning again in this way. So thank you for thank you for being here, but thank you for such amazing work. I feel like that's the other thing is so many of our guests, most of our guests have been just so passionate about what they do, and they're doing something that really serves everyone and the greater good. And it's just it's very fun.
I feel it's my duty as an educator to get this out there.
Yeah.
And I have a responsibility to raise the grade in California.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. This has been wonderful. And audience, please check out Jennifer Fishman and Business Basics for Kids and the Instagram. And you're also on LinkedIn, I think. Is that correct? And this amazing workbook that you can do with your kids and to start teaching your kids at a very young age all these terms that they need to know, and you can learn right along with them and have these conversations, do the exercises together. It's actually a really great thing to do with your kids. So you can go to businessbasicsforkids.com and download this as well.
Yes.
Okay. Is it free?
It is free. We want kids to have exposure to words, and dictionaries should be free. We want them to have it. So.
Okay. Thank you. And this really presents, I've had a lot of questions about how can I teach my kids about money. That comes up a lot. And this is a phenomenal start. I mean, this is really great. So now I have a new answer to that question, because I do get that question a lot. I feel like parents feel, it bothers them that they didn't learn it, but then also they're uncomfortable teaching it because they don't really know how to teach it either.
Parents are at different levels of financial literacy and what bills look like.
Yeah, and parents also, bring along their own baggage in terms of their belief systems and things like that. So better to get the objective information from an education-based source. So, okay. Well, listeners, thank you so much for being here. If you know parents or kids and want to share this show with them, that would be really great. Or teachers, I think this is so interesting. So, please rate and review the show, share it with your friends, and find me on limitfreelife.com. And you can check out my website and some a variety of things there. Sign up for my newsletter so you can keep up with me on new things going on. And please continue to listen to the Money and You Show. And if you haven't subscribed, we would love it if you would subscribe. And we will look forward to seeing you next week.